the Austin 316 promo is a promo you could literally give a college course on how to
Right.
one build yourself from here to here,
Yeah.
have a goal. What's his goal? To be in the main event. What does that mean? What's the main event right now? Sean and British Bulldog. First two names that I'm gonna mention. Why? Because that's the main event. That's where I want to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
Talk about a list of something that you plan on doing. That way, the fan gets engaged and invested in something that comes out of this promo and what it is. The list. What does that mean? That guy's got to go after this guy and after this guy sooner or later, and I'm invested to see it happen.
Now the gun angle. What do you think of this? Let's talk about it.
Man, I don't think people will really understand how much in school we talked about this angle after it happened. Like, you never saw no fucking gun in wrestling. I mean, you barely saw guns on TV.
But the way he pulls it out, he's like, I'm gonna get this Glock
It,
here, and I'm gonna he pulls
it's
it
the
out.
fact that he fucking pulled it out and loaded it. Like,
Yeah.
that's what really.
And it didn't look like a fake gun.
It was
A
not.
real gun.
This is the difference between Brian Pillman Jr. and Brian Pillman. Brian Pillman Jr. would have a BB gun.
Who?
Brian Pillman had a real Glock, Arn Anderson style.
Piece of crap. Also, he's got an ECW Pillman shirt on as he's beating him up. I noticed that when Austin does the invasion, he's got an ECW Pillman shirt on as he's beating the shit out of them, and he's throwing him in the pool and everything. And they look, and the way he beat them up, it looked like a fight in some ways.
It was great.
It reminded me of like Sonny and Godfather, except for
you know what I liked about it too? Like, okay, so they cut in, and when Austin is breaking in, he breaks the glass.
And you hear her screaming.
It was great. But here's the thing, man. Brian Pillman has such commitment. Like, you really think he might? Like, there's no way. Because I remember, I believe cops actually thought it was real, and they started going over there and whatever. Like, think about this.
Yeah.
There's a section of wrestlers, not fans, wrestlers, that thought there's a good chance he might actually shoot Austin just to prove a point. Because that's how Brian was.
Yeah. It's such a good angle though. The way they film it and cut to black, it was like it looked real. Like they would never do it like that.
What's another thing that I liked about the Bret and Austin match is something they used to do a lot back then. The semi-main event would be a number one contenders match for the title.
Yeah. And I love Austin in that promo. Yeah. All right. So let's get to Survivor Series. Wait, do we have anything else to?
Nope.
What else did? Okay, he does that match, and then he goes into the locker room, and he's like threatening to go in there. And you hear Vince like, "Go in there." He's like, "You'd like me to do that, huh? You'd like me to go in there? You know what? You're gonna have to pay to see Stone Cold Steve Austin in there." You know, which is great. That's a great heel line.
What a heel! Like, no, because you're a greedy little promoter.
You're gonna pay. You're gonna have to pay to see Stone Cold in there. So then, all right. So now we're at Survivor Series 96, and at the end they say, "Stone Cold, what do you think about the stipulations?" Like, I don't really give a damn about no stipulations. All I know is I promised to give Bret Hart make his life a living hell, and he. I love that entranceway in MSG with the the short entranceway where they come out where the basketball guys would come through.
Yeah,
it gave it such a different look.
Yeah,
you always knew that was an MSG show.
Always knew it because they would make like a nice little set to complement the small alleyway.
Except for 20, they decided to go full out and do a huge set. But I always think of SummerSlam 98.
Royal Rumble
96, Royal Rumble 2000 with the car on the back.
Yeah.
of it and everything. The highway to
SummerSlam,
hell,
SummerSlam,
highway to
98.
hell. That was the gate. It's like
And
why
the
the
glass
glass
entrance.
thing?
In my opinion, the greatest Austin entrance.
I love that. I love that. The problem was they were like so pressed for time. Like before Undertaker comes out, you can hear them going, "Go, go! We gotta get in there." They couldn't even do a video package. They didn't have time, you know. Whereas nowadays they would probably cut the match and do the.
Well,
But you know, it's
because
Taker.
the
But it's Taker
under
and Austin. They ain't
that's
gonna
because
do that.
Triple H and The Rock went over.
Yeah, they told him that they told him you need to go home, and they just looked at him like, "Fuck you."
It's
we're we're not doing it.
a different era. Different
Yeah,
era.
well, that then they couldn't go over. You know, nowadays you just ask for more time and you'd be fine.
So,
You know,
what you thought of the match?
I think this match is great, and one of my favorite spots in it is when Austin hits the superplex on there off the top, and
Hmm.
instead of going for the cover, they both can't get up, so they both bring their legs up to try and cover the other guy. And I was like, that's great. That's a spot people should be doing because it makes sense. They can't get up to do the to actually cover him, but it can do that. Also, I love when he's like punching Austin into the guardrail. It's almost shades of what's going to happen in WrestleMania 13. And Bret and Austin, their punches and everything are so crisp,
So crisp.
so
Like,
crisp. It's like Eddie Guerrero when he wrestles. It's like there's just this almost relaxing feeling of watching them because they're so damn good.
see, I would say the opposite. When I
Really?
watch Austin, is not relaxing. It's the anxiety I get of watching a real fight. I was just watching UFC on MSG this Saturday, and it's that same feeling.
Yeah.
You're glued to the screen. You feel that there's an intensity of a
Yeah.
real fight happening, and that puts you and commits you even more to the match. There are 3 points in that match that really stand out for me personally, or for the entrance.
Yeah.
When Stone Cold's coming out,
You
he's
can hear the
looking
Austin, you can hear the
straight.
fans going.
He's looking straight at the camera,
Yeah, he does that like little thing. He
straight
looks
at the
right at
camera
them.
with a sarcastic grin,
I love it.
and it's just like that is star power. It's all in the
It's the
eyes.
little things that he's doing that uh, most wrestlers just don't get. It's those little things. Kenny Omega needs to like study that
Like
because when he
Austin.
goes out, there's nothing. It's
You know what's funny? Austin always says that when you're a star, the cameras will find you. You shouldn't be looking for the camera. But
yeah.
this
That's
is
what
an
they told Bruce
occasion.
Stern when he
Yeah.
did Nebraska. They said, "Don't try and find the cameras. Let the cameras find you."
And that is so true. But here you could see this is he's not a star yet. He is trying, like, by him piercing through the screen, he is really trying to tell you, I am not some jobber that's fighting Bret Hart, losing in a 5 minute match, and then you'll never hear about me again. This is
20,
just the beginning.
20, 20
Yeah,
minutes,
this is just the beginning.
and they had a long match.
And
It
and
was
and,
so
and
good.
then it goes to my second part, the face off.
Mm.
When was the last time you ever heard of a semi main event having like a 2 minute face off? Only
Who did that?
WrestleMania main events at that point had those kind of face offs.
Oh, you mean at that time period?
Yes.
Yes.
At
Yeah,
that
you're right.
time, you only WrestleMania main events had that kind of face off.
I
And what
think
the
ECW did Taz and Sabu. They did that kind
that's
of a face
different.
off.
That's
All right.
different.
Okay. Oh, okay. Different company. Okay. Yeah.
Different company and
This
different
company,
psychology,
yes.
because the psychology, I have to imagine, because that has to be a Brat idea.
Of
He
course.
believes that there's something here. You wouldn't. He doesn't do that with just anybody. Who else he's done that
No.
with? Yokozuna,
Look,
Owen Hart.
you can already see what he didn't beat him with the sharpshooter in
That goes into my
In
other
Africa.
point. The other spot, right? the gimmick, he kept getting out of the sharpshooter.
Yeah, I like that.
Meaning that this guy is not just a guy who's talking shit. The story was that he's been paying attention to Brad, been watching all the tape, and he's found out like the counters to the sharpshooter, and that Bret is rusty and isn't able to put it in right yet. You know, which is so great because it protected him, and getting that, you know, what a clever finish. You know,
Yeah, it
he
was.
uses the $1 million dream, a move he stopped using. And the second he uses it again, he loses because of it.
He got caught. He
And
got caught. He didn't he barely beat him, and I like that story that he told him.
but you
There's
know what?
multiple
It's
times.
also the story with that move that he could have kicked out if he just let go of the move, but he didn't want to let go of the move.
That's
You
another
know,
thing.
you know, like I like that. And then the most important thing at the very end, after the match, Bret Hart is like kind of there wanting to like kind of celebrate. You kind of feel like Bret's like wants a handshake or whatever, and Austin's just looking at him and then goes out, and then he's just staring a hole at Bret Hart after the match. And then you hear JR, look at those eyes. This is far from over, which is such a true statement. And
Here's the
another
thing.
example of the breadcrumbs that Austin puts in front of you.
Here's the things I liked about the match. One, this is Bret's first match in over a year, supposedly. We don't count this.
Technically.
Africa doesn't really count because that wasn't promoted on television.
Mhm.
So anyway, you can see him sucking wind and barely. That might be, since it's Bret, it could be by design, or it could be
No,
he's actually
it's by
sucking wind.
design. He said
By design.
he's commented on it. He said it was by design. He wanted to look like he almost died and could barely beat him, and that he was rusty.
That's what it looked like.
Yeah, that was by design. And which
Also,
another thing that just talks about the genius of what he was putting into the match, because those aren't things that a normal fan is gonna notice. That is something that you put in because you care about it.
exactly. Also, the other thing I liked about this match, Austin's offense, all of it is designed to hit his head and his chest to warm him up for when he hits the stunner. Now,
Which
I
is
don't like the only thing I don't like about this match is when he hits the stunner and he doesn't just pin him. I know that the whole idea is that
that was
that
a hiccup. I think that was
that
the
was a
only hiccup
mistake.
of the match. That was a hiccup. I
But
I think they wanted to do something where
he had him beat and he didn't take
yeah,
it.
but it didn't
Maybe.
come out right, you know,
No, it
like
didn't.
I think it would have been better if he would have done the stunner and then
And he
that
could have
Brett kind of
rolled.
jumps out of the ring.
Yeah, like he rolled out of the ring or he rolled close
Yeah.
to the ropes or something. Then you could have done the foot on the rope thing where like he didn't exactly kick out of the stunner.
Now, you know
He got
what?
his foot on the
It would
rope.
have been better if when he does the stunner and he's trying to get Brett to roll him, Brett rolls the other way to go outside the ring.
They could have done that, but I think you kind of still need that visual pinfall references. I think that adds to it. But I think he should have just got his foot on the rope. Because then he doesn't actually kick out of it. He barely beats him.
I don't like that spot to
No?
like I like that spot sometimes. I just don't feel you should use it in a Bret Hart match because I think it's so overused in his matches since he has a submission finisher. I
Mm,
wouldn't want to do it when the guy does a pinfall as well.
mm.
Literally done in every Bret Hart match because that's his finish is a submission. So somebody's always got to hold the rope. And you also got
I
to
don't
do it when
know.
he's pinning.
It's a good point. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. I go back and forth. I gotta think about
You
that.
know
That
why? Because
stunner.
the CM Punk and Cena match when he does the GTS and Cena rolls out, I thought was a perfect spot. They kind of did it with Darby Allin, but the Cena one was perfect.
Yeah.
I wish they would have done something similar to that with the stunner.
Thank you for watching the Kings Road podcast. You can subscribe here.
To get the latest clips and news on the show, or like us on Facebook.com Kings Road Podcast or email us at podcastkingsroad@gmail.com.
Also, check out our Instagram at Kings_Road_podcast and our Twitter at the KRP Podcast. Thank you.